Around 40,000 years ago, someone in what is now southern Germany picked up the hollow wing bone of a large bird and began cutting holes into it. The work had to be precise. Put one hole in the wrong place and the sound changes. Crack the bone and the entire object is lost. When it was finished, it could not cut meat. It could not carry water. It could not provide warmth or protect anyone from an animal. It was a flute. In a world where survival demanded constant effort, someone decided music was still worth making, and the flute was not an isolated discovery. Archaeologists have found ornaments carried across long distances, images placed deep inside caves, and objects that appear to have been shaped by children. The evidence points to music, movement, decoration, play, and storytelling long before cities or writing existed. So the question is no longer whether ancient humans enjoyed themselves. The harder question is why they invested so much time and skill in activities that did not directly provide food, warmth, or protection. The evidence gives us a distorted picture. Stone tools can survive for thousands of years. Songs disappear as soon as the final note ends. Weapons remain in the ground. Games, dances, and conversations usually leave nothing behind. That makes prehistoric life look more practical and joyless than it probably was. To find the missing part, archaeologists look for unusual effort, objects made with great care, materials carried far from their source, images created in places that were difficult to reach. These traces do not tell us everything that happened, but they reveal something important. Ancient humans were spending time and energy on experiences that went beyond immediate survival. Some Ice Age flutes were made from bird bones, which were already hollow. Others were made from mammoth-ivory. Those were much harder to create. The ivory had to be split lengthwise. Each half had to be hollowed and shaped. The finger holes had to be positioned carefully. Then the two halves had to be sealed together again. This was not a useful object that happened to make noise. Its entire purpose was sound. The person making it had to imagine the music before the instrument existed. But a flute also suggests something beyond the person who made it. It suggests an audience. Someone played while other people listened. Melodies may have been repeated and remembered. Voices could join the instrument. Hands could clap. Feet could follow the rhythm. We cannot recover the exact performance, but the object gives us the beginning of a social scene. One person creates a sound. Other people stop what they are doing and give it their attention. Music could bring several people into the same rhythm without requiring anyone to speak. The exact movements are lost, but humans who could create rhythm could also sing, stamp, clap, and move together. What began as sound could become a shared event. Music could happen beside the place where people ate and slept. Some prehistoric art required a separate journey. Detective voice. Imagine leaving the open camp and entering a passage where daylight begins to disappear. Someone carries a flame. Someone else carries pigment or charcoal. The floor becomes uneven. The walls narrow. Voices begin to echo. Then the passage opens into a chamber, and animals appear across the stone. At Chauvet Cave in France, researchers have recorded more than 1,000 images, including lions, rhinoceroses, bears, and other animals. These drawings were not placed beside an ordinary living area. People had to enter the cave to reach them. Inside, the only light came from flames. It moved across curved and uneven surfaces. Shadows changed constantly. A viewer could never see the chamber as one bright, fixed image. The animals would appear in sections. A head, a horn, a line of movement. Then, darkness again. The journey, the sound, the firelight, and the images were all part of being there. We do not know exactly what happened inside these chambers. Calling them theaters, temples, or classrooms would go beyond the evidence. But people did not enter them casually. They planned the journey. They brought materials. They created images where ordinary life did not happen. The cave was not simply a wall with drawings on it. It was an experience people entered together. At this point, asking what ancient humans did in their free time starts to create a problem. Free time assumes that work ends, entertainment begins, and the two have separate purposes. Prehistoric life may not have been divided that way. Music could be pleasure, ceremony, and group bonding at once. Art could combine images, stories, memory, and shared beliefs. Decoration could be beautiful while also communicating identity. Play could be enjoyable while preparing a child for adult life. What we now separate into a concert, a classroom, a religious ceremony, a family gathering, and a night of storytelling may have happened in the same place with the same people during the same event. The activity could be enjoyable without being only entertainment. It could be useful without feeling like work. That changes the question. Ancient humans may not have had a separate category called fun. Fun may have been mixed into the rest of life. Consider 3 small shell beads found at Taferalt in Morocco. They are around 82,000 years old and were discovered more than 40 kilometers from the Mediterranean coast where the shells originated. Someone selected them, carried them inland, and created holes so they could be worn. The shells were not transported as food. Their value came from how they looked and what they communicated when placed on a person. Ornaments may have shown which group someone belonged to, their age, their status, or a personal relationship. They could also make the wearer feel attractive or distinctive. Those purposes do not need to be separated. Choosing an ornament can be enjoyable while still communicating useful information. Prehistoric humans were not only shaping tools, they were shaping the way other people saw them. And that means pleasure had become personal. It could be felt by the person wearing the object and understood by the people looking at it. Children are easy to miss in archaeology because researchers once tended to treat most objects as the work of adults. That view is changing. At Ice Age sites around Dolní Věstonice, in what is now Czechia, researchers have examined clay objects shaped by hands that did not yet appear fully skilled. Many may have been created by beginners. In some cases, those beginners were probably children. A child working with clay did not need to be making a formal toy. The activity itself could be playful. Children could copy shapes made by adults, test the material, make mistakes, and try again. A child might press a shape into wet clay, then look toward an adult to see whether it worked. The same process could apply to throwing, gathering, tool making, and other adult tasks. Play gave children a safe version of the future. They could repeat difficult actions before anyone depended on them getting those actions right. For a prehistoric child, learning and fun may have been the same activity viewed from 2 different sides. Stories leave almost nothing behind. So one clue comes from studying what happens when communities without electric light gather after dark. Research involving the Jew Huansi found a clear difference between daytime and nighttime conversation. During the day, people focused more heavily on work, resources, and immediate social matters. After dark, the conversation changed. People sang, they danced, they told longer stories about known individuals, distant events, and experiences beyond the present moment. This does not prove that every prehistoric community behaved in exactly the same way, but it shows what firelight makes possible. Daylight keeps attention close to the present. Food, tools, travel, danger. Firelight makes room for people who are absent, places that are far away, and events that happened long ago. A story could preserve the location of water, the behavior of an animal, or the consequences of a mistake, but it could also create suspense, fear, relief, or affection. People could experience an event they had never witnessed. They could remember a person they had never met. One person's memory could become something the entire group carried. Put these traces beside one another, and people keep appearing around them. Someone plays the flute, and others listen. People enter the cave together. An ornament only communicates something when another person sees it. Children learn by copying the adults nearby. Stories need someone willing to tell them and someone willing to listen. Music, Art, decoration, play, and storytelling were different activities, but they all pulled people toward one another. They helped people teach, remember, express identity, and share emotion. That does not mean every enjoyable activity existed because it improved survival. People could enjoy music simply because they liked how it sounded. They could decorate themselves because they liked how it looked. They could tell stories because stories held attention, but pleasure made those activities worth repeating. And repetition allowed skills, memories, and relationships to last. So, how did ancient humans have fun? They made music. They moved together. They entered caves to create and experience images. They decorated their bodies. Children experimented with materials and copied the adults around them. After dark, people sang and told stories. The surprising part is not that these activities existed. It is that they appeared while life was still physically demanding and uncertain. Ancient humans did not wait until survival had been solved before making life enjoyable. Return to the person shaping the bird bone. The flute was not useful in the same way a spear was useful. It could not feed anyone. It could not keep anyone warm. But it gave people a reason to gather when no immediate task required them to. Tens of thousands of years ago, one person made a sound. Another person stopped to listen. Ancient humans did not wait for life to become easy before having fun. Enjoyment was already part of how they lived together.